The mainstream media is focused on the internal rifts in Beirut. They are reporting on the tensions between the various sects. They are analyzing the official statements of support for the Iranian ambassador. But these reports are merely observing the smoke while ignoring the fire. The reality behind the narrative is far more clinical and far more devastating. Lebanon is no longer a sovereign nation. It has become the western flank of the Iranian deterrence architecture. It is a strategic sacrificial buffer. On March 31, 2026, Hezbollah issued a formal statement of support for the Iranian ambassador. In the world of diplomacy, this is often seen as a gesture of solidarity. In the world of strategic realism, it is an admission of total integration. Hezbollah is signaling to the world that there is no longer any daylight between the Lebanese southern front and the command centers in Tehran. This is not an alliance of choice. It is a structural necessity for the survival of the Islamic Republic. The official briefings in Washington and Tel Aviv speak of degrading Hezbollah's capabilities. They speak of precision strikes and intelligence advantages. But the mathematics of this conflict tell a different story. Hezbollah possesses an arsenal of over 150,000 rockets and missiles. Most of these are unguided, low-cost projectiles. They cost a few $1,000s to manufacture. On the other side of the border, the Israeli Iron Dome interceptors cost approximately $50,000 per shot. The United States provides the funding for these interceptors. This is an asymmetric trap. Iran is using Lebanese soil to drain the American treasury one rocket at a time. The pride of Western technology is being hollowed out by the sheer volume of cheap munitions. That is not a failure of technology. It is a failure of strategic foresight. Hezbollah backs Iran ambassador as conflict deepens Lebanon rifts. This was the headline on Al Jazeera. But what lies beneath that headline is the complete fragmentation of the Lebanese social contract. The Christian and Sunni factions in Beirut are watching their country being dragged into a total war for the interests of a foreign power. They are terrified, they are angry, and they are powerless. Tehran understands the geography of this conflict with cold precision. Lebanon provides the depth that Iran lacks. By maintaining a permanent threat on the northern border of Israel, Iran ensures that a significant portion of the Israeli military and American intelligence assets remain pinned down. Lebanon is the lightning rod that absorbs the strikes meant for Iran. Every building destroyed in Beirut is a building that remains standing in Tehran. This is the logic of the buffer state. It is a brutal, cold calculation, and it is working. Ask yourself a simple question. Why has the United States not intervened directly in Lebanon to dismantle Hezbollah? The answer is not a lack of will. It is a lack of a viable exit strategy. Any direct intervention would trigger the very regional conflagration that Washington is desperately trying to avoid. The United States is paralyzed by the fear of the second-order effects. A total war in Lebanon would produce a migration crisis that would overwhelm the European Union. It would destabilize the energy markets of the Mediterranean. It would force a direct confrontation with Iran that the current administration cannot afford before an election. Washington is not choosing peace. It is choosing the lesser of two strategic catastrophes. The rifts in Lebanon are not a side effect of the war. They are a deliberate byproduct of Iranian strategic necessity. A unified Lebanon might demand its sovereignty back. A fragmented Lebanon remains a fertile ground for the Iranian Mediterranean flank. We must look at the geography. The Galilee region in northern Israel is now a ghost town. More than 60,000 people have been evacuated. They cannot return as long as the Hezbollah threat remains on the border. This is a strategic victory for Iran achieved without firing a single long-range missile from its own soil. They have effectively occupied a portion of Israeli territory by proxy. The conflict has deepened the divisions that have plagued Lebanon for decades. This is the common refrain, but we must be deeper in our analysis. These divisions are the mechanics of power in the Levant. When the state is weak, the militia is strong. When the militia is strong, the neighbor is vulnerable. The Iranian ambassador in Beirut is not a diplomat. He is a proconsul. His presence ensures that the Lebanese state remains an auxiliary to the Iranian war machine. The Lebanese people are the currency being spent in this transaction. The second-order effect of this integration is the collapse of the Lebanese economy. International investors have fled. The banking sector is a memory. The currency is worthless. But for Hezbollah, this is an advantage. A desperate population is a dependent population. When the state fails to provide food and electricity, the militia steps in. Poverty is a tool of recruitment. The mathematics of the border are simple. Iran provides the rockets. Lebanon provides the geography. Hezbollah provides the personnel. The United States and Israel provide the targets. It is a self-sustaining cycle of attrition. The mainstream media will tell you that a ceasefire is just around the corner. They will point to the diplomatic visits and the back-channel negotiations. They are wrong. There is no ceasefire because the fundamental incentives have not changed. Iran is not ready to surrender its western flank. Israel is not ready to accept a permanent threat on its border, and the United States is not ready to pay the price of a total war. The stalemate is the strategy. Lebanon's rifts are deepening. Let us be more precise. Lebanon is being liquidated. The country is being dismantled to serve as a fortress for a war that is being directed from thousands of miles away. The rifts are not political. They are structural. The United States has spent decades trying to build a stable Lebanon. They have provided billions of dollars in aid to the Lebanese armed forces. They have supported the Cedar Revolution. They have tried to promote a third way. All of that investment has produced zero strategic return. The Lebanese armed forces are incapable of challenging Hezbollah. The pro-Western politicians are silenced by the fear of assassination. The largest American embassy in the region is located in a country where the most powerful actor is an Iranian proxy. This is the strategic paradox of the 21st century. Washington is funding the state while Tehran is running the country. It is not a mistake, it is a humiliation. The rifts in Lebanon will continue to widen until there is nothing left but the southern front. The Mediterranean flank is the insurance policy for the survival of the Islamic Republic. As long as Beirut is burning, Tehran is safe. This is the reality behind the ambassador's visit. This is the reality that the briefings are trying to hide. We are watching the death of a nation-state in real time. It is being replaced by an operational zone. The mainstream narrative is focused on the Security Council resolutions and the international law violations. But in the trenches of the southern front, those words have no meaning. Only the range of the rocket and the depth of the bunker matter. Geography has reclaimed its throne. The United States is now discovering that its strategic dominance is a myth in the face of a determined asymmetric adversary. You cannot bomb an idea, and you cannot sanction a geography. The rifts in Lebanon are the cracks in the American-led order. They are the evidence that the era of the superpower is ending. We are moving into an era of regional hegemons and proxy networks. The Iranian ambassador knows this. Hezbollah knows this. It is time for the rest of the world to wake up to the same reality. Lebanon is not a country, it is a launching pad, and the countdown has already begun. The mainstream media is reporting on the internal rifts and political friction in Beirut. They are quoting opposition leaders like Sami Gemayel. They are discussing the violation of sovereignty. This is an illusion. Sovereignty is a luxury of the stable. In the Levant of 2026, sovereignty is a ghost. Hezbollah backs Iran ambassador as conflict deepens Lebanon rifts. This was the starting point. But the strategic reality is that Hezbollah is not just backing an ambassador, it is validating a proconsul. Motaba Amani, the Iranian representative in Beirut, is the personification of the unity of fronts. When Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah stands with him, he is not standing with a diplomat. He is standing with the logistics of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. The Western world is watching the high-tech precision of the Israeli Defense Forces. They see the F-35 jets, they see the satellite-guided munitions, they see the artificial intelligence-driven targeting. This is the illusion of dominance. The tactical truth is found in the limestone ridges of southern Lebanon. It is found in the thousands of kilometers of reinforced tunnels. It is found in the concealed launch sites that have been carved into the very earth over 3 decades. A single F-35 costs over $100 million. It requires a massive global supply chain. It requires a sophisticated airfield. A Hezbollah Cornet anti-tank missile costs $30,000. It can be carried by 2 men. It can be fired from a residential basement. It can disable a multi-million-dollar Merkava tank. This is the strategic inversion. The most expensive military in history is being neutralized by the most efficient one. This is not a fair fight. It is a mathematical slaughter. Ask yourself, why has the Israeli military not launched a full-scale ground invasion of Lebanon despite the constant rocket fire? The answer is not political will. It is the geography of defeat. The last time Israel entered southern Lebanon in 2006, they faced an adversary that had mastered the terrain. Today, that adversary is 10 times more capable. They have the experience of the Syrian civil war. They have the drone technology of the 2020s. Any ground invasion would be a meat grinder. It would be a catastrophe for the Israeli army. And Washington knows this. The United States is currently trapped in a strategic cul-de-sac. Hezbollah has turned Lebanon into a launch pad for Iran. This is a common talking mook, but the second-order effect is far more dangerous. By tying the fate of Lebanon to the fate of Iran, Hezbollah has ensured that any strike on Tehran will trigger the total destruction of Beirut. Lebanon is the human shield of the Islamic Republic. The internal rifts are real, but they are irrelevant. Sami Gemayel, the leader of the Kataib party, recently stated that Hezbollah is deciding the fate of Lebanon and the Lebanese people. He is correct, but his words have no power. He is a politician in a country ruled by a militia. He is a man with a microphone facing a man with a missile. Logic dictates that the Lebanese people would rise up against this occupation. But the mechanics of power prevent it. Hezbollah controls the borders, they control the ports, they control the intelligence services. They have built a state within a state that is now more powerful than the state itself. The Christian and Sunni factions are not just politically divided, they are strategically paralyzed. They know that any move against Hezbollah would trigger a sectarian civil war that they would lose in 72 hours. Hezbollah is not just a military force, it is a domestic occupation. The mainstream media describes the tension in Beirut as political polarization. This is a sanitized term for a hostage crisis. Now look at the regional chessboard. Iran has successfully created a ring of fire around Israel. They have the Houthis in the south, they have the militias in Iraq and Syria in the east, and they have the crown jewel in the north, Hezbollah. The United States has deployed 2 aircraft carrier strike groups to the Mediterranean. Each carrier represents $13 billion of American investment. They are magnificent, they are powerful, and they are useless. In the narrow waters of the Mediterranean, these carriers are massive, slow-moving targets for Iranian-made anti-ship cruise missiles. They cannot stay there forever. The daily operating cost is millions of dollars. The fatigue of the crews is mounting. The interceptor stockpiles of the escort destroyers are being depleted by cheap drones. Iran is winning the economics of war without losing a single ship. The Lebanese rifts are deepening. This is not a mistake. This is the strategy. A fragmented Lebanon is a usable Lebanon. When the central government is a shadow, the militia is the substance. Tehran's proconsul in Beirut ensures that the Mediterranean flank remains active. This is the insurance policy for the Iranian nuclear program. Washington cannot strike the Iranian reactors because they know that within 10 minutes, 60,000 rockets will rain down on northern Israel. Hezbollah is the gun held to the head of the Israeli state. This is the deterrence architecture that 40 years of patient Iranian strategy has built. The United States is currently pretending that it can resolve this through diplomacy. They are sending envoys like Amos Hochstein to Beirut. They are proposing border delimitation agreements. They are talking about economic incentives. This is a failure to recognize the strategic reality. Hezbollah does not want a border agreement. They do not want economic incentives. They want the total elimination of the Western-led order in the Middle East. They are not a political party that can be bribed. They are a revolutionary vanguard that is part of a millennial vision. The intelligence integrity of our analysis forces us to admit a dark truth. The Lebanese state is dead. It is a corpse that is being kept on life support by Western aid to prevent a migration crisis in Europe. But the soul of the country has been replaced by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. The second-order effect of the Hezbollah ambassador support is the final collapse of the Lebanese national identity. There is no longer a Lebanon. There is only a southern front. The United States is now discovering that its superpower status is a relic of the 20th century. In the 21st century, power is not measured by the number of aircraft carriers. It is measured by the resilience of the network and the depth of the bunker. Iran has mastered the physics of war in the Levant. They have turned a small, Mediterranean nation into a strategic fortress that can hold a superpower at bay. The mainstream narrative will continue to talk about democratic rifts and parliamentary debates. They will focus on the latest protest in downtown Beirut. They are looking at the surface of the water while the submarine is already underneath them. The rifts in Lebanon are the sound of a country being torn apart to serve as a shield for an empire. This is the cold, hard logic of the strategic realist. There is no morality in this equation. There is only the range of the rocket and the cost of the interceptor. And right now, the math is on the side of Tehran. The ambassador is not a visitor. He is the new owner. And the rifts in Lebanon are merely the sound of the locks being changed. The United States is watching its regional posture dissolve in real time. They are watching $1 trillion of investment and decades of diplomacy being rendered irrelevant by a militia with a clear vision and a cheap drone. The era of the sacrificial buffer state has arrived. And Lebanon is the first to be offered on the altar of the new Middle Eastern order. The countdown to the total regional conflagration is not being measured in days. It is being measured in the remaining interceptors in the American magazines. When the shield is empty, the sword will fall. This is the reality behind the rifts. This is the truth behind the narrative. The board is shifting, and the structural reality is visible to those who look past the headlines. The official narrative is an illusion designed for the crowd. The structural reality belongs to those who anticipate it. Position yourself ahead of the next shift and master the data that defines the new world order.